Led by a lifelong interest in healing, Dr. Linda Salvin pursued an advanced degree in epidemiology. Then, after dramatic near-death experiences, Dr. Linda saw the other side and returned with gifts of insight, visions, and revealed wisdom. Now those gifts are ongoing, and she's here to share them with you. Get ready to be amazed. It's time for Dr. Linda Salvin's Psychic Solutions podcast with America's original radio psychic, Dr. Linda Salvin, offering up her always fascinating blend of psychic psychology, clairvoyant insights, and expert guests and alternative healing methods. So pull up a chair and get ready for a visit with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Psychic Solutions podcast. Today is going to be extremely happy and extremely fun and informative. I have Don Wilson, Mindi Miller. They both knew Elvis Presley. They have both been on the show together before. They have explained their positions, their friendships, their relationships, and their spiritual connection to Elvis. So without any more spending time, we're going to talk about Elvis Presley's spiritual path with Don Wilson and Mindi Miller. Let's bring them on now. Hi, guys. How are you? It's good to see you. Hi, Don. It's good to see you. Thank you for taking the time. Hey, Mindi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So I've just introduced the two of you. I would like Mindi to start a little bit as a recap from the show we did a few weeks ago about your spiritual connection with Elvis and the books from the Bodhi tree, but mostly his passion for metaphysics, spirituality, and God. Can you hear me, Mindi?
Yes. Did you want me to?
Yes.
Did you want me to explain that? You cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
When I met Elvis on our first.
Go on.
When I met Elvis on our first date, the first thing we did was we really, really bonded over spirituality. I had always believed in godliness and the God of my understanding, and so had he. And we talked a lot about religion. And we found out that we had so much in common on our first date. And he had all these books sent out by Al Strada, who's still my dear friend, to the Bodhi tree where I lived down the street from. And these books were brought in. We were in
For those
the
that don't know,
bedroom,
that's Hollywood, California. Mindi, I got to explain to the listeners. It's Hollywood, California. So slow down a little. We've got 45 minutes here. We'll get it all done. I know you know this pitch by heart.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is in Hollywood, California, and we really bonded over it. And he gave me all these incredible books, which I am now surrounded by. I put them all here. I'm sitting on my bed. I have them all. I can put the phone and show them all to you if you'd like me to turn the phone and just go around the different books. Would you like me to do that?
Sure, you can scan. That would be beautiful. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you see them.
Yeah, there's a lot of books. You have your own library.
These are all the books that Elvis gave me. Well, not all of them. I even have more. So those are just some of the books. One of the books he gave out that he loved a tremendous amount of books, but the 2 or 3 that he really, really loved and gave out, one was called The Impersonal Life, which is this one right here.
We can't see it. There you go. Okay.
It's a very tiny black. It's a very tiny black book. It no longer exists in this form. A lot of the books that he gave me are now out of print. The ones that are still available are extremely expensive. The other one he loved, which is by the same author, is called The Way Out. And it's this book here.
What's that about?
It's another little book. Well, the way out is the way out of the third dimension, basically, into the fifth dimension, which is quantum physics, which I'm currently studying a lot about. It's the way out of ego. It's the way out of the way that the human mind or the human brain normally works in the physicality. and that we need to let go of the ego and the narcissism and the self-importance and the VIP and the me. So the way out is about connecting to your God of your understanding, because everyone has a different religion or a different belief. And some people are agnostic and don't believe in anything, which
is
I
a belief in
understand,
and of
and
itself,
their
which is
firm
still
belief. Exactly.
well,
I was just going to say
I've
that. You
always
took the words
said, and
right out of my mouth. It's the belief in yourself, but
we're losing you.
we all need to believe in ourselves, as
You've
well
dropped
as
out.
there has to be a higher power. Oh,
right. And edging
the
God
belief
out is
in
ego. Edging
oneself,
God out.
as well as the belief in the
Mindy.
right.
Edging God out.
Yeah.
EGO. It's very simple. That's the way I've taught it as a metaphysician for 30 years with my clients and on radio. It's not new. Yes, what he was teaching you was to expand, which you have taken to help people all over the world with your story because of him. But the conduit with the spiritual, metaphysical aspects is what's so wonderful about it. Let me get to Dawn for just a moment. Dawn, did you have the same experience spiritually with Elvis that Mindy did?
Yes, but I mean, Mindy was a lot closer to Elvis, and spent a lot of time with him. Whereas I was a teenager at the time, But I do have a couple of books that Elvis gave me, and one of them was Why and How of Meditation. I don't know if you can see that, but
I
yeah,
do. We do.
It was given to me in the mid '70s, and it was actually published in 1968. And which I did get into meditation, and at that time it was very difficult for me to understand, but Elvis would give me, the preliminaries and the different things of how to do it. And he also gave me this book, which he had boxes of this book, and this particular edition too. And this is the one that Sandy Miller also has, a friend of Elvis's. It's called Leaves of Gold. And Elvis used to talk about this book to where it was written by a lot of different people, and it was all collected, I think, originally in 1938. And this is quite old, and it's gold pages edged to that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Oh.
And I got a couple of lines that he quoted from it, because I told him, I said, Elvis, what, this is amazing, your life. And he said, it's all but for a day. And he quoted this from the book. It's good to have money, but it's more important to have things money can't buy.
Love, spirituality, friendship, things. Mindy, we have a question for you. Hold on, Dawn. I'll be right back. There's a listener who wants to know who the author is of The Way Out. Can you hear me? Mindy, can you hear me? She can't hear her. We've lost her audio.
I'm wondering if there's a glitch or something.
I can't take care of her when I'm on the air and I'm trying to do the interview. Mindy, can you hear me? Leave the phone. Can you hear me? All right. Dawn, Mindy, can you hear me?
She might be having.
Yeah, she's having technical. Yeah, we're going to call her. Do you have her number? I'll text it to you. This is crazy. It happens. I bet you, like last time, Elvis was kind of playing games, and when she confronted him, it stopped. So, Elvis, if you're here.
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Yep.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Mute her, please. I can't do this. Okay, so Dawn, Rebel will take care of that. So in the meantime, these books, which are so enlightening that we all crave knowledge for, and the yogis and the spiritualists and the philosophers from eons, we all gravitate to this if we have that spiritual quest. Not everybody craves this kind of information. the fact that you've held on to the book, I know you for over 20 years, and I know you've got a very strong connection to your God, higher power, your religious beliefs, whatever, that you're on a path. So when you meet people like Elvis Presley, and he's giving the message that there is more to life than just money. Please elaborate that, because you've been around celebrities all your life. You see the egos, you see the wealth, you see the cars, but when you're with these people backstage or at dinner, all of a sudden that mask comes off and they're human. They're back down to earth, right?
Right. In fact,
A lot of the time.
Well, that's true, because I've been around some of the biggest stars in the world. You know, of course, Elvis, was, but beyond that, since he passed away, and I was able to be around him because of being around Elvis, and because Elvis, let go of all of that ego. There was no ego to Elvis, and he said, "You cut me and I bleed. I'm not that street out there that's named after me." And I put my leg on one leg. Excuse me.
I know we're all kind of nervous. It's been a funky show. Yeah. He puts one foot into a pant leg at a time, like everybody gets dressed, right? That's what we were trying to say.
Exactly.
So
I was trying to get it out, in the constraints of time, being in radio and stuff. But because he put me at ease, and I was able to be at ease around just anybody else. But yes, he had a core belief, his Christian faith, and he also studied the Torah because of his Jewish background, and he wanted to know of all other religions, because knowledge is power. And if I was talking to Larry Geller, who was close to Elvis, especially spiritually, and he said if he believes that if Elvis had lived during our time, now with the internet, that he would be on it all the time, because he really was a searcher, and he would be searching all the time, and he would probably be in touch with his fans, and they wouldn't believe it was him.
Well, speaking of that, let me go on to some of the controversies for a moment, because one of the problems I've had, and I've been attacked, and I got involved with some of the groups out there on Facebook that claim to be married to Elvis's brother, John, that Johnny was the one that actually went to Europe in the army, that Lisa is still alive, that the Priscilla that we see is a stand-in for the other Priscilla, that there's a couple of Priscillas, which is why we see the one that had the facelift isn't really the right Priscilla, and that Lisa's still alive, and they staged the death, and her son's. I've heard it all. You've seen it all.
Yeah,
and
probably.
Mindy has too. Mindy has too. Yeah. So why do they do this? Why do they do this?
Attention.
I'm here.
They just want attention.
I'm here.
Hi, Mindy. I'm glad you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, hold on. Dawn's talking. We'll get right back to you in a moment. Go on, Dawn.
Hi, Mindy. Yeah, because people want attention. I don't pay attention to people like that, because they all have their own little worlds, and they want to be. They're the little fish. They want to be in the big pond. They want all the attention for one reason or another. God only knows. But I don't pay attention to these people. I'm not in any of the groups. I'm sure there are some Elvis groups that are really good, but I'm not in any of them, because there's a lot of wonderful fans. But at the same time, as Richard Davis, Elvis's friend and mine, a bodyguard, said, there are armchair Elvis experts, where they don't really know anything about Elvis except for what they've read.
Mm.
And a lot of times, not everybody's like that. There's some wonderful fans, but they get on there and they don't really know anything about it. But they start groups, and their little scenarios, and I just don't pay attention to it because it's ridiculous, and it's not true.
No, it's not. Thank you. Okay, let's hold off with you and let's get into Mindy again. Okay, you're back. We've seen the books. We did have a caller ask who is the author of No Way Out, or The Way Out. Do you know the author of that book? Is it on your book?
I'm looking right now. The same author wrote The Impersonal Life, and I'm looking. These books are extremely old. It's actually by C.A. Willing is the publisher. It was out of a P.O. Box 51 in San Gabriel, California, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
the total copies in circulation when Elvis gave me these books in 1975 in the month of March were 216,300 at that time. The copyright was in 1941 and the 37th edition was in 1975. So I have the 37th edition. However, these books are extremely, extremely rare and very difficult to come by. It was by, of all things, you won't believe it, Sun Publishing Company. Isn't that funny? Because Sun was Elvis's first, his first label.
Sun Records.
It was Sun Records. It was out of Tonawanda, New York. Towanda, Tonawanda, New York. And you can see, I'm going to show you here. I should have my white gloves on, but I'll show you here where you can see.
Oh, we lost her again. Oh, there you are.
See how worn. Can you still see me?
Yeah. I saw where the
Can
page
you
is
still
torn.
see me?
Yeah, because reading it and opening it and closing
How
it for so
worn
many
the books are.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You can see how worn the books are. Can you see that?
Yes. We see it. I think that's amazing.
Are you there?
Yes, we're here. Can you not hear us again? Rebel, please call her. Take her
Hello?
off. Rebel.
Hello?
Mindy, you're muted. There you go. Mindy, leave it alone. You were just
Are
muted.
You there? Can you see me?
Yes,
Can you
Mindy.
see me?
Mindy, you were muting. You're not muted now. Can you hear me? Rebel, take her out. I'll just stick with Dawn and please call her back. Thank you. Call her back. I'm sorry, folks. I think we have some spiritual interference. When Mindy was on the show a couple of weeks ago, Dawn, she felt Elvis was here. So she said, Elvis, if you're here, if the spirit of you is here, please stop all this interference. And as soon as she said it, like I'm getting goosebumps now, all this crazy static, lack of communication, connection stopped. I have a feeling his spirit doesn't want us talking about this, or he's just having fun to say, all right, you guys, I get it. I still live in your hearts. There's something going on because we've been fine. But when we bring in Elvis, I don't know if it's his entity or his spirit saying, hey, Dawn, good to see you. Mindy, what are you doing? Or he's trying to.
I think Elvis really wanted his fans to know about his spiritual side.
Hello?
So.
Can you hear me?
Mindy, yes, we can hear you. I was just saying that.
Hello?
I think Elvis.
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, Rebel, please. I can't do this. Knock her out. Block her out, please. She's muted. She's muted.
I muted her so you could see her,
Okay.
but you won't hear
All
the
right,
hello.
well, it's just kind of choppy. It's weird. All right, folks, I think Elvis is here. I think Elvis is playing with everybody and kind of getting in the way. Let's just call it the spiritual divine intervention.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Mindy, I can't. Please block her. I can't do this. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the audience. It's not fair to Dawn. Thank you. Just call her back and say.
We were in a mission. I was on earlier and I wasn't muted, so it's got to be something technical. I don't know.
Yeah, it's technical, but I've had spirits interfere with the technology. Remember, I'm a psychic, so you don't know what floats around or what comes in or what tries to inhibit a broadcast. It's not new. It's just unfortunate that this is happening. I mean, we can try one more time if we want. One more time, we can talk about it off the air. But, he made an impact on your life. And why don't you talk a little bit about, it's not just Elvis, but you've got your finger in a lot of pies out there. You've known a lot of different celebrities. You've been in the entertainment industry in the world for many, many years, Dawn. So,
and now you've frozen up.
Wow. I've never had this. Don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on here.
He
We
didn't
may
want
have.
to leave you out.
No, he didn't want to leave us out. I'm wondering if we should just call it a day, Rebel, and reset this. What do you think? She's probably on the phone with Mindi, so let's just keep going. So how did you get your foot in the door with all these other celebrities and the musicians and the actors? And I mean, you're always posting historical photos, and it's wonderful, but you had to get in somehow. I know your dad helped you.
Well, yeah, I mean, my dad took me to meet a lot of celebrities when I was growing up, so I got quite used to it. I mean, Gene Autry and Jack Webb and Jay Mansfield were the first celebrities that I met, and after that, it was easy peasy, I guess. And uh, when someone would come to town, I would go and meet them and so forth. If there was an opening or so forth. But then when after I met Elvis and then I got to know George Klein and Memphis, who was a disc jockey, he encouraged me to continue, become a radio announcer and this and that. He was my mentor, and I had friends like Wink Martindale. But it's just one day at a time. I mean, just the way things happened. And then I moved to Hollywood, and I just kind of fell in to know some of the older stars from the golden age of Hollywood. And one of the ladies suggested that I would join the Motion Picture Council. And the next thing you know, I'm in it, and I'm after about a year or so, I'm a vice president. And then then I'm around all of these celebrities like Robert Stack and Kirk Douglas and Virginia Mayo, and it's incredible, and Hugh O'Brien. And then my job, can you believe it? My job was to nominate actors and actresses, producers, directors who I felt deserved an award. And then I would present the awards to them, so I did that for a long time.
I'm getting chills again. This is such a fascinating story. I mean, every time we talk, there's a little more, another chapter pops up. You mean, like I said, your book needs to come out, Don.
Well, maybe one of these days, but it's just amazing how, like Elvis said, there's a reason for everything. There's no such thing as coincidence.
There's no accidents. No, nothing's an accident. You can be sitting on a plane. You can be at the market. You can be at the gas station. You can be at the mall. Whoever you meet at that moment. I was just at the mall the other day, and somebody asked me a question, and then I looked at the dog, and it was a rescue when we were talking about dogs. And then they looked at my dog on the internet, and they're an actor, and they're a realtor, and they're this and they're that. But we knew right away for those 5 minutes there was some connection as to why we talked from rescuing dogs all the way to career and see ya. But things happen, and you never know what's going to happen later. But most of the laws of metaphysics and spirituality is if there's an opportunity, walk through it. Take the door. When the door is open, or at least the opportunity knocks, don't run. I have run. You have run. We all run at certain times of our life. But as we get older and understand the concept or the spiritual message, show up. Nothing's going to happen. Just show up, right? Just show up and see what's next. Just like I could close this show and start over. I think we'll do one more just to keep it clean. But things happen for a reason everywhere, whether you're born, whether you're allergic to something, whether you travel, whether you meet somebody, if you get married, you get divorced, you lose a child, you lose a relative, you lose a pet, you travel, you get deals, you fail, you succeed. Life is not a straight line.
That's true.
It's not. I'm sure when you were a child, you thought, wow. When you were looking at Elvis and you were a kid and you're looking up at this star, were you fantasizing that you wanted to do that someday or what? What was your dream?
Well, my dream when I was a kid was to be a singer. But my first inspiration as far as singers go were Buck Owens and Johnny Cash. But then, of course, I always appreciated Elvis, but I never imagined that I would ever meet him. And so I did a crash course on him. I said, this guy's great. And then by after about a month of, playing his records and they were running them in Houston, his movies on the $3 o'clock $1 million movie. Then I said, well, okay, I'm prepared. It's almost like being prepared to do an interview. It's like be prepared to meet somebody, and it's incredible the people that I've met. I love people. I think for the most part, I've done everything and just about that I wanted to do, but I'm still, I've got a podcast now on Spotify, and I'm back to playing music, and I'm doing what I did back in the '90s. So you just never know what you're going to be doing, and I just like to keep busy.
Well, what else you're going to do? I mean, I just try to keep busy. We all have different projects. It doesn't mean we're going to all reach fame and fortune and travel the world. You are being of service. You're helping people, but you're also following your passion. You love music. You love talking. You love DJing. And with today's technology, everybody can do something with their dream, because it's not just getting the deal with a record company. Everything's online. You can upload, or you can do a podcast, or lawyers and hairdressers and nail salons and clothing and food, whatever it is, it's available to us online now. We didn't have this before 1996, and look where it's gone in almost 30 years. The whole world changed.
Yes, by the time I started making records, I did 2 albums, and I did pretty good. I went across the country touring with some people like Tommy Sands, for example, the Teen Idol, and Glenn and some others. But by the time I came along, it wasn't the same, And then the next thing I wanted to do movies, but I didn't like to stand on my mark. I didn't like to go.
You're not one to be directed.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot for actors, and sometimes they say, "Oh, it's not that tough." It is to hit your mark.
Yes, bring that back for a moment, Don, because I've acted and I have my credits like you do. People think you just kind of show up, you say some lines, and you're out. People do not know the character, the clothing, the stance, the move, your eyes. And yes, if you're not on your mark, hey, dude, we need you over there. No, I want to stand here. Well, why? Straighten your shoulders. No, take the hat off. Talk about that for a moment. When you are hired to perform, we have to be directed by the director. And sometimes if you fight that, you're in trouble. What happened, Don?
Well, it's not that I was fighting the director. It's just that I had trouble memorizing lines, and so I would sing them. And when I was rehearsing, and I was able to do that. So, but then I was directed by Gary Marshall, and he was tough. And I worked with Diane Keaton. I worked with Tom Skerritt. I worked with Juliana. I can't remember it right offhand, but it doesn't matter. But some really, big names. But and then Juliet Mills. One day I was, who was, and her sister, of course, is Haley Mills. And here I'm dancing with Juliet Mills, and I'm doing a Disney film, the other sister. And I had speaking part, but they cut me out. So I was just like, okay, well. It's a lot of sitting around and waiting to do your part. And I played Elvis several times in films. At Paramount, and I did the Magic Johnson show. I did all kinds of different little things, but I really like to be behind the camera. I gave up to where I wanted to be a star, And I mentioned, I asked Elvis. I said, "How does it feel to be a big star or a superstar?" And he says, "Don't ever call me that again, superstar." I said, "Because backwards, it's Rats Rupus."
Say that again. It's Rats?
Rats Rupus. Elvis likes to play with words.
He likes to play with words, yeah. Have you ever done that with your name? Like your son would nod?
He called me Nod sometime, and he called son.
Yeah, because it's backwards. Yeah. My
and
name
Red was Durr.
Yeah, here comes Mindi again. We're going to get Mindi here yet. And we're still going to talk about the spiritual path of Elvis with Don and Mindi. And we're going to redo another show. I have one slot open for which I'll talk to you guys about off the air. Mindi, so Don's been talking about his time in Hollywood. You spent time in Hollywood as an actress as well. So why don't you give the audience a little update or background as to what you did performance-wise as far as some acting. Then we'll come back to the spiritual path of Elvis, and then we'll rebook this one more time and get it right. Third time's a charm, if you guys are willing. Hey, there she is.
Okay.
She played Rebel in Switch, the TV show, too.
So I grew up in Hollywood. My parents were both performers. My dad was a big stuntman in Hollywood and a big character actor. He worked with everyone from Errol Flynn, Barbara Stanwyck. His last job was at age 75, where Carol Burnett personally asked for him on her show. He was known as the Bullwhip Man of Hollywood. He taught the people that ended up teaching Harrison Ford and Halle Berry for Catwoman. My mother was a singer, dancer, actress. My grandmother on my mother's side was an opera singer, which is where I got my love of voice. Having been adopted at birth, I did not know my family history until very late in life. So I had no idea that I could actually do stunt work. So I ended up doing all my own stunts in films. I had 30-foot pythons wrapped around my neck for a movie called Amazons, which I did for Roger Corman, who unfortunately just recently passed away. We were flown down to Buenos Aires, Argentina. So I did all my own sword fighting, nunchucks, karate, horseback riding, you name it. So I did all my own stunt work before stunt women were doing their own stunts. Mostly the men were engaging for the women and dressing up as the woman to do her own stunt work. So this is way before Angelina Jolie.
I never knew that. That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting history to know. Okay, we're going to focus back on your careers when we redo the last show, which I will talk to you about after this show. But let's go back to the theme of today. Now that the glitches, or maybe I said, Elvis, I think you're interfering. So I talked to him. So I said, what happened last time? That his spirit might be saying, let's play this. We've got about 10 minutes left.
Right.
Talk about the passion and the love, the unconditional love, without the ego, as Don was talking. And ego, as we know, is edging God out, which is also what the way out is about, because we ascend from, and I'm getting chills, we ascend outside the body. That's the beautiful part about spirituality. People come, they want to learn, they want to pray, they want to meditate. And a lot of people think it's stupid or bunky, or this is not about religion. And I've always said this is spirituality and religion are two different things. Religion is man-made. And I've, done this for over 30 years. You've been doing it for over 30 years. Don's been doing it over 30 years. But there's a lot of people out there that are new, different generations, who are now learning or seeking or whatever. And yes, everything happens for a reason. And yes, I teach people about butterflies and what God is through butterflies. When you first figured out God or spirituality, Mindi, what was it that hit you that said, oh my God, I get it. I see it. What was that? Do you remember the initial awakening?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You cut out there. What was it about? What? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. When you got your first
you cut
hit. Am I okay, Rebel?
Personally or with Elvis?
Yeah, personally.
Yeah. You're talking about me or how it was with Elvis?
No, you.
I have always been extremely spiritual. When I was very, very young, I remember an incident. I was probably 7 years old, and I was standing outside, and I was supposed to be playing, but I was staring up at the sky, and my mother was looking out after me, and she called after me, and she said, Mindi Lynn, what are you doing? You're just staring at the sky. And I said to her, in no uncertain terms, I said, I'm waiting for them to come down and take me home. She never said a word to me. And, she, I think, got me, even though she was my adopted mother at birth. But I have always been a stargazer. I think I've always been a star seed. And there are people that are star seeds, and some of them realize it and some of them don't. And I've been called very crazy. Elvis was called
No.
crazy, which is where
Right.
he got,
Right.
he had his ID bracelet all in diamonds that said crazy on it. And as we know, his mother used to say, don't talk about these things to most people because they'll think you're crazy. Well, I was a very young kid. I knew at a very young age. Elvis was a very old soul. He knew at a very young age. One of the books he loved is by Alice B. Bailey. I'm showing it to you here. It's called The Rays and Initiations. It's a very expensive book. He also liked another book called The Appearance of the Christ, also by Alex B. Bailey.
Mindi, can you hear me? Okay, I need to cut this because we've only got a few minutes, but I can relate to the star seed. So can Dawn. Too bad Elvis isn't here. For those who don't know, Brad Steiger wrote one of the best books on star people many, many, many years ago. And just like you knew staring at the sky, when I was about 4 or 5, growing up in Pacoima, California, my father was showing me the constellations, and I looked up at the sky. I was a little tiny girl, just like you, and I was staring, and I saw the sky, and I thought, oh, here I am again. It was my first acknowledgement, like, oh, I'm here, I'm back, here's the sky, it looks familiar. We can talk about reincarnation next time because we are reincarnated souls. Yes, we are souls, and yes, you did know you were placed here, or you returned here, and you were wondering, are they going to come get you, take you home? And I'm getting chills. This is going to be a whole other topic that we will talk about, but we've only got 5 minutes left. Hold on, Mindi. Dawn, did you ever have one of those experiences where you wondered spiritually, have you been here before? The deja vu, the past life, the spiritual star seed?
All the time.
What about Dawn?
Yes,
I
me
have
too.
at least 3.
Dawn.
I have at least 3 different periods.
Yeah, I want to hear from Dawn, and then we're going to bring it back. It's kind of hard with all 3 of us. Dawn, what happened to you?
Well, there's times where I had a lot of deja vu when I was growing up and when I was a kid, and I almost felt like I was in a movie myself. And I said, I've been here before. I mean, why is this so familiar to me? And perhaps it is, from a previous life. I don't know. But Elvis did call me an old soul, and I had to really, investigate what that was, and of course, Mindi and I have talked about that too.
And we are going to continue this on another time. If you guys don't mind, I want to go further with both of you, and we'll have the technology handled for whatever's going on out there. It's funky, but we're going to wrap up. We only have 2 minutes left. So the spiritual path of Elvis, he was a leader, and his songs were his way of being the preacher of love through romantic songs. And yet inside it was really universal love besides the romantic love. But, even though he was bigger than life to most of us, he was still a human. He learned humbleness. That doesn't mean he didn't buy you gifts and all that. And like you said on the show last time, Mindi, it wasn't just about that. You knew the man. Dawn knew the man. I'm learning and teaching you out there listening about the man. It's spirituality, it's God, it's butterflies, it's the universe, and it's reincarnation. He was given a gift. Mindi has a gift. Dawn has a gift. I have a gift. We all have gifts. It just depends on where we're going to put that energy. Can I invite you guys back? I want you to stay backstage after we close in just a moment. You were the type of people that make my life, my work so meaningful because you get it, you are it, you've worked it, you live it, and you still communicate or teach it, okay? And that's the beauty of it. We carry this on. We're not the only ones out there, but there's more. There's more than what we see physically, and most people still have blinders or are cognitive or don't believe because we are crazy. But maybe we're not the crazy ones. Maybe they're the crazy ones because we know the truth. Is it odd or is it God? That's what I ask. Is it odd
Yes.
or is it God? And this is where we have to balance those scales. You guys have been wonderful. I want to thank you, Mindi. I want to thank you, Don. Please stay backstage while I close the show. You both have been friends of Elvis Presley's in the past. He's touched your life personally, not just because of a postcard or a concert, but you knew the man. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. I want to thank my friends, Don and Mindi. They will be back. This has been bumpy, but so is life. You get through it. We did the best we can, but I hope you learned something, especially about Elvis Presley and the people he has touched along the way, not just as fans with music, but people like Don Wilson and Mindy Miller, who knew them intimately, personally, about the man Elvis Presley and his spiritual path. For more information, listen to the show again, and they're going to be back. I'll be back. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. I am a metaphysician. I am the host of Psychic Solutions Podcast, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Dr. Linda Salvin's Psychic Solutions Podcast. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.